Hi, everybody. I'm Bobby Hobbs here with another episode of the Coach's Corner. For those of you that are listening to this on Friday, this will just be a portion of the podcast. But for those of you watching live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, today we're going to do a live interview with Adam Marburger, the CEO and president of the place that both me and Paul work for, Ascent Dealer Services. As you guys know, we are not doing this podcast as kind of an infomercial, so we're only having our team members on when it makes sense. And right now, it actually really made sense. And I actually asked Adam last week if he would be on with us because he was part of something pretty cool last week. So I wanted to have him on to talk with me about it here and let people know what's going on in the market as far as what's important for our dealerships, because he was part of Public Policy Day 2025 in Washington, D.C. So Adam, tell us a little bit about what it is for those that don't know it, because I wasn't familiar with it until you told me about it.
Oh, yeah. So Public Policy Day, it kicks off the Washington, D.C. Auto Show. And with the recent vacation of the CARS rule, now is a paramount time to be there to educate individuals that are policymakers, senators, members of Congress on the value of these F&I products. The reason why I was there was because I thought it was the right thing to do, to be kind of that voice for the automotive dealer body, right? Jim Ganther, dear friend of mine, he reached out to me about a year ago, and I participated in the amicus curiae brief. Basically, myself and a handful of others stood up to the FTC as NADA and TADA were filing suit over this CARS rule, because the way that CARS rule was written, if it were to be passed the way it was written, it could have been just catastrophic. It could have destroyed automotive, right? So I wanted to kind of put my money where my mouth was, and I wanted to be a part of that. And then by doing so, the boys from Osodu reached out, and I kind of partnered up with those guys, and we went out to Washington, D.C., and I got the opportunity to be on a panel to speak to those that are, kind of in charge at Washington, those policymakers, and really explain what we do and why F&I is important and the value these F&I products have. And it was a really good time. And it was an honor and a privilege just to be a part of it.
Yeah, so it was actually, the timing of it was interesting because me and Paul were talking about this the day before on our podcast a little bit. And, what we saw as the issues, let's break it down a little bit, or what are the things that you saw that you thought were the main issues of this? Because a lot of it from the outset, at the face value, I guess the things that they were looking for weren't terrible. But I think the way that they intended to implement it and the onerous amount that it was going to put on the dealers is really what I felt like my biggest issue with it was. What was your personal concern with it and how it was going to be implemented?
My main concern, and the main point is, I think it was a proof that government was overstepping. Government was looking for an issue that wasn't quite an issue. That's really what it was. The whole idea of being transparent in pricing and doing what's right, I mean, that goes without saying. That's what we do anyway. Are there some bad operators in the marketplace? There's a few out there. But as a whole, our industry is trending in the right direction.
Totally.
We are servant leading. We're putting our clients before ourselves. We're being transparent with our pricing. So it was an opportunity for government to look for a problem that really wasn't there. And so I think government overstepping, first and foremost, the way they were wanting dealers to disclose and over-disclose these F&I products, we're going to make it really difficult it was almost like they were looking for sales prevention of these products. And so I didn't agree with some of that. There were some things in the rule that I do agree with, but the point is government is overstepping. They don't need to be.
You don't need to legislate based on the 2%.
That's what it is, Bobby. Exactly.
Yep. So no, I totally agree with you here. While fundamentally we all agree, obviously, and you do as well, that people should work in that way, you definitely don't want to legislate based on that very small percentage that don't do it well. And like you said, there's less and less of those every single year. Those dealerships that do things in that way are going away. That way of doing business, it just has no point in today's climate. There's way too much out there, too much information that people can get about people to be dishonest. It doesn't do you any good. It never did, but it really doesn't now when there's so much information out there for the average consumer. So
Absolutely.
how did you feel like they took the information from you guys? You know, you were there. Did you feel like it was actually taken to heart? Did you feel like they got the point of it?
Absolutely. I mean, everybody's very receptive, very engaging audience. Absolutely. Yeah, no, everybody was very receptive and it was a win. I mean, honestly, we kind of celebrated. It was a big day for automotive, and it was a victory for automotive. And everybody was very receptive. And I will tell you, from the people that I spoke to kind of in the side huddles, a lot of those individuals that were there, they purchase these F&I products.
Right.
I think most of the people that I was speaking to currently have a service contract on their vehicle. So, I mean, these products are valuable. I mean, consumers want to buy them. They don't want to be sold, and we need to be transparent. And we need to allow, and one of the big things too is we need to allow the retail customer to transact the way they want to transact. So that's what it boils down to. So,
and the one thing is, obviously they were trying to tie this in with some other legislation they were doing, trying to get rid of junk fees and such, which a lot of these, they looked at it as if it was a junk fee, and it's not a junk fee, obviously. These, like you said, you're providing products that our customers want and need. But what they're trying to do in the auspice of offering this was to try and make it sound like they're trying to save the consumer money, which that's the problem when you get some government agencies that don't really have any knowledge. And this is where I think it was really good to have you guys there to have that institutional knowledge of what these are and how this would implement onto a dealership. It's just going to increase the cost for the consumers. So if you ever ended up actually passing this while your original intent is to actually reduce cost, you're probably going to be making it so that the average consumer pays more on every single transaction.
Yeah. And you know, one thing too, and I'm kind of proud of this, and I'll just pull this down here. Our company was one of literally 5 other companies, and I'm not going to name drop all the companies. You can look this stuff up, but I was one of 5 that kind of backed this up. If you really think about it, let's just say that the CARS rule does pass, and my name is on here, fighting the FTC, or at least backing it up and putting my 2 cents into it. That could have kind of reversed and not gone so well for me in the future. But the point is, I wasn't afraid because I believe in this industry. I've been in this industry since I've been 18 years old. All I know is this industry. And I was willing to just put my name out there and fight for something that I believe in. I'll take this to the grave. Automotive dealers do more for their communities than most businesses. I'm telling you, the automotive heartbeat, what we do for people, the amount of people we employ from the manufacturing side all the way to the dealer retail side, we do so much good. And I'm going to shine a light on that. I'm going to carry that until the day I die. And that's why I was willing to put my name on this. And that's why I was willing to go out to Washington. I was willing to spend money. I was willing to put time and effort and energy into it because of the dealer body that I love, period.
Well, it's nice to know when people put their money where their mouth is. Obviously, like you said, I work for you, so I have a little bit of vested interest in it here, but it is nice to work for a company that shows that it actually cares about the industry. You know what I mean? So it's a little different me doing this interview with you because of that, but it truly is the case where it's not just you, it's our entire group. We all care about our dealer body. We care about what is important. So that was really good.
Yeah, well, one correction, you don't work for me, you work with me.
Number 2, there you go.
Number 2 is we just love people, and we love helping people, and we love our dealers. I mean, we grew up in this industry, and what I love about our team is we're all retail people, so we have a retail heartbeat, and so what we want to do is help people, period.
So on the outside, like I said, I saw you were doing a little bit of stuff after you guys' presentation. Did you get to meet anybody interesting, find out anything, or get to talk beyond just kind of finding out what they have with their vehicles?
Yeah, shook a lot of hands, kissed a lot of babies, had a lot of really interesting conversations. Kyle and Paul over at Osotu, oh my goodness, those guys are a hoot. They're world-class marketing studs is what they are. I had a blast hanging out with them. And I met a lot of great people and had a lot of fun.
Now, what do they do? I saw they're actually out of my area. I saw they're from Syracuse, New York. I'm not familiar with them. So tell me a little bit about what those guys do.
In my opinion, from what I see online, they're the future. We're going to participate in their upcoming Osotu conference in Baltimore. They host an annual event. They're very, very plugged in.
Their content looks really good from what I saw.
They're sharp. They love people. They love this industry. Their slogan, love people more than cars. I mean, they've really got a great. Yeah, so this movement over this last several years, they're really heading the right direction. They grow and grow and grow, and they're in every inner circle, and they're literally networking with the who's who. So it was just an honor and a privilege to spend some time with them, get to know them better. And I have a feeling that we're going to do a lot of things in the future together. I'm going to put my name and support anything that they do. I'll say that.
That's awesome. So that was the first thing I wanted to talk about with you today. The other thing I wanted to talk with you today about is obviously you just released your new book. Oh, it reduced you from the stage here. Let me bring you back in. Brought the wrong thing out. You just released your new book at NADA here a couple of weeks ago, which, as we all know, was a little bit of a lackluster experience for a lot of the people going. About 30 to 40% less people than what average there because of the insane weather that they had and you had trying to get there. So tell me a little bit about what your book is. I obviously have read your book already, and I really enjoy the book. You actually had a nice part I liked when you were putting your book together is you were reaching out for opinions from people to make sure you're putting the best content out there that you possibly could for people. So for those that aren't familiar with it, your new book, The Servant Leading F&I Manager, is available today on Amazon. I'll put it in the link in the comments. So tell us a little bit about what the book is and who would you suggest should read it?
I suggest everyone read it. I mean, don't let the title fool you. The subtitle is Leadership Redefined. This book is for anybody that wants to be great and wants to make other people great. This book I wrote it. I put my 20-year retail career into the book. I brought other thought leaders into the book as well for best practices. This is a manual here. I've got it right here. This book, and I'm going to be training out of this thing going forward. It's broken up into 4 sections. The first one's the personal foundation of leadership. Second, building and strengthening culture within the dealership. And the third is mastering the F&I craft. So we get into objection handling, process. And then the last is the servant leader's path to legacy. This book is for anyone that is in a leadership role that wants to get to the next level, but ultimately wants to bring others that are below them up another couple levels as well. The book's truly based around leadership, and I had a lot of fun writing it. And I'm hoping that everybody finds some value reading it.
I definitely like the approach you took from it. Obviously, the Servant Leading F&I Manager, as it says in the title, is obviously focusing on that servant leadership. That's something that I feel is often overlooked as people progress. This is something that we talk about internally. I've talked about this on our podcast before with Paul, is that so frequently we get people that, I'm the boss because it says so right here on my business card. Luckily, I had a business card sitting here on my desk to do it with. And a lot of times people don't focus enough on being a leader versus a boss. So for me, I think that that's one of the most fundamental things in a car business or any business, as you said, because this can really apply to anybody, is learning the difference between being a leader and being a boss. So could you expand on that a little bit for me and see what your opinion is on that?
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, just because I'm very passionate about this subject. John Maxwell talks about if you're in a leadership role and you don't have any followers, you're just taking a walk. That's all you're doing. And there are different levels of leadership, like in his book, The 5 Levels of Leadership. And a lot of so-called leaders in automotive or managers, they have the title. And the individuals that are responsible for managing have to listen because it's a condition of employment. Not necessarily because they like them, they trust them, but they have to, right? And there's a lot of that out there. And so what I'm trying to do and the impact that I'm trying to make is teach people to love themselves and love people and guide and just truly grow them. And we are seeing more and more of that in our industry. I'm very proud to say that there's some incredible dealer groups out there that have culture and everything's based around servant leadership. And those dealerships sell more, make more, and retain more clients. That's just what it is. So when I see bosses out there and not leaders, kind of breaks my heart a little bit because there is a better way. There's a better way. I had a lot of bosses in my career that I didn't respect, I didn't look up to, right? And then I had true leaders that motivated me, inspired me, held me accountable, had difficult conversations with me. I look back at those people now and respect them at so much different level than those people that would yell and scream. And, so yeah, there's a big difference between leadership and management. And this book is designed to teach people how to be more effective leaders and not bosses. I hate that B word.
No, I'm completely with you. And the nice part about that is, in a book, like you said, there are groups that do it well. There are groups that are not as great at it. But the nice part when you do it in a book or you do it in a training program or anything around that is that's there for the people that want to make themselves better, which I always appreciate, right? When I've been running stores or I've been looking to try and promote people from within organizations I've been with, I always wanted to try and bring those people up that want to invest in themselves, right? And what I like about with this book is that focus. Like I said, is that because I think there's lots of things out there that go for the A's to Z's of how to do the job. And, this is the way you do this is the way you do that. But a lot of times what's often overlooked is that side of it, is that leadership. And you don't need to be the person that's at the top of the org chart to show leadership, or to even more specifically be a servant leader. At all levels, people, even if you're just one of a member of a sales team, we'll use a car dealership specifically, you've always got that one salesperson that everybody else listens to. And it's not always the person that's selling the most cars, right? So you can take the tips from this and you can take the information and you can apply it to so many different things. And I really like that you put it in a way that is very digestible to the average individual. So it was really, really nice.
Well, I wrote it in kind of a workbook format. I've got a legitimate workbook that's going to accompany this.
Okay.
But this is more of a textbook.
Right.
I mean, this is a book that you're going to go through and highlight and read, and you can go back and reread and come back and pull this off the shelf, and you can use this for trainers. So for the managers and dealerships, you can take so many training sessions that you can host out of this book. And I tell people, just borrow my stuff and make it yours. Like, you can pretend it's yours. So, like, you can literally take sales meetings out of this, content out of this, and host some really great sales meetings.
And that's a great idea, because a lot of times when people are making sales meetings, this is something I talk with one of the other members of our team, Billy Gorth, about a lot, is setting up and scheduling a quality weekly sales meeting. A lot of times people just shoot from the hip on it. So having some content that you can really provide some value in your back pocket is a great thing, because a lot of times the managers don't know what they need to be teaching people. It's not that they don't want to, it's that they're not familiar with it. I used to always keep an entire file folder of when I didn't have things to think about what I could do this week. This is what I would be doing, just having those examples of things that would be good meetings. So that's a great idea to use that to try and help spur some meetings for your people. So I like that a lot. So unless you have anything else, I wanted to thank you for taking some time to go over it with me today. I just wanted to have a brief review with you on what you did for down in DC, and then talk about your book a little bit here.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Let me sign off and make a statement. First of all, automotive, we're very strong and we know how to pivot. NADA wasn't ideal in a sense that there were travel delays. It was difficult getting there. Attendance was down 31%. That's the real number from NADA. Okay. It's down 31%. A lot of my personal dealer clients couldn't make it. I had some dinners planned with dear clients and friends that didn't happen. Potential dealer clients couldn't meet with because they didn't go. I had 2 book launches and book signings that my books never showed up. They showed up in Houston and they didn't make it to freaking New Orleans, right? But we pivot. And so what we did then, Mr. Jonathan Dawson brought 30 books. So I was able to at least do 1 book launch. And then we decided, what we'll do now? Let's just do a campaign where we're just going to give some books away. So this is where I'm going to go with this.
Okay.
For anybody that is listening now or listens later to this, I'm going to personally sign and address and mail this book to you at no cost. So yeah, I want to sell books? Yeah,
Sure.
I like to make money. I'm not afraid of it, right? But I don't need to make money on this. Okay. This is I want to give this away, because this.
So
is
how would they reach out to you for that?
You can shoot me a PM. I'm easy to get a hold of on Facebook and LinkedIn, or my cell phone number. Write it down: 618-979-9483. It's my personal cell. I answer personally. You text me, preferred text, your contact information, your address, and then I will mail you a signed copy of this book so you can help more people at your dealership. I will do that. And I'll be happy to do that. So
Did I get your phone number right there down at the bottom as I'm trying to type as okay.
Yeah,
So like you said, the best way obviously is either to text you there or to get you on your Facebook or LinkedIn, which you're very active all the time. Obviously, privately message you there. It's a great offer. I think anytime anybody doesn't reach out to try and get some additional help and tools to make themselves better is just a waste. So if you're out there and you're interested in pushing your career further, you should always take any opportunity, now whether it's Adam's or anybody else's, to provide you with some additional tools at no cost for you. That's an absolute no-brainer. So please reach out to him, whether it's on Facebook or via text. And you guys should get that here in a little while. And hopefully that helps you guys do better in your business and you share that with others. That's the next part is pass that on to your fellow workers and fellow people in your dealership. Well, thank you, Adam, for taking the time to talk with me today here. And for those of you that are watching live, thank you for joining us. And then obviously you guys will get all this information on our podcast that will be released on Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Every week on Friday, we will release a new episode. Thank you guys all for watching, and we look forward to hearing you again next week.